Good evening, everyone, and thank you all for joining the celebration of Gomery's contribution to science in the state of Alabama, the Gulf of Mexico, and around the world. My name is Missy Partyka. I'm an extension specialist with Mississippi-Alabama Sea Grant Consortium and the Oil Spill Science Outreach Team. My team and I have been hosting events like this one around the Gulf this fall, with specific focus on Gomery's legacy of science and discovery in each of the 5 Gulf states. While we wish we could have held this event in person, as I know a number of you wish, the virtual setting doesn't mean we can't keep this feeling relaxed and festive. So I invite you to unwind with your favorite beverage of choice, invite the family to come on in and join you, kick your feet up after what I'm sure was quite a long week. We have a tightly packed program for you tonight, as I've said, but I wanted to give you a brief preview of our speakers and let you know we have worked in an intermission at the halfway mark because it has been a long day. We'll air a short segment of the 3rd installment of Dispatches from the Gulf series, narrated by Matt Damon, which is part of the larger television series, Journey to Planet Earth. If at any time you're experiencing technical difficulties, simply type your concern into the chat box on Zoom or the comment space on Facebook. If you have a question for one of our speakers, please use the Q&A feature so that your questions can be captured and answered. And follow-up, should we run short on time and not be able to answer them live. So to begin with, and without further ado, I'd like to introduce this evening's first speaker, Rear Admiral Gallaudet. Admiral Gallaudet is the Assistant Secretary of Commerce for Oceans and Atmosphere and Deputy Administrator of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. From 2017 to 2019, he served as the Acting Undersecretary of Commerce for Oceans and Atmosphere and NOAA Administrator. Before these assignments, he served for 32 years in the U.S. Navy, completing his service in 2017 as the oceanographer of the Navy. In his current position, Admiral Gallaudet leads NOAA's blue economy activities that advance marine transportation, sustainable seafood, ocean exploration and mapping, marine tourism and recreation, and coastal resilience. Welcome, Admiral.
Thanks, Missy, for your gracious introduction. Do you hear me okay?
I hear you.
Super. All right. Well, it's great to be here at this wonderful Gomery event for Decade of Discovery, if you will, for Alabama. I'll be joining Mississippi next week, and as many of these as I can, for many reasons. I have a passion for the environment, and specifically the environment in the Gulf, because I lived on the Gulf Coast in 2 separate times in my Navy career, in Slidell, Louisiana, and then before that in Diamond Head, Mississippi. And so I'm just really proud of our work there and the work of our partners. In fact, earlier last year, I was able to visit Mississippi-Alabama Sea Grant, and I know that some of those folks are online. I know LaDawn Swan is joining us, and I also got to visit the Dauphin Island Sea Lab, which was just a treat, and I really enjoyed the fantastic tour and hosting by Dr. Valentine and his great team, all contributing much to Gomery and its good work. Now, I have to say that it's really incredible right now when you consider all that Gomery has been addressing, primarily Deepwater Horizon and the oil in the Gulf. But when you think about the challenges piled on top of that, including this year, this hurricane season, which has just been historic with 10 landfalling hurricanes, and the state of Louisiana experiencing, just historic landfalls with 3, Delta and Sally and Laura. And so there's that. And then there's harmful algal blooms, hypoxia, habitat degradation, and it's just, quite a tall order. And then and I think the point I want to make with that is, we're still responding. We're still conducting important research. We're still restoring, and I really think Gomery is a model for how we need to respond to this COVID pandemic and how to continue our mission in the COVID era. And what a great demonstration of resilience that Gomery shows, and the importance of science in advancing resilience. There's just no better time to look at the 10 years of success of Gomery. Now, a couple of the features about Gomery that I wanted to sort of talk a bit about here, and it's the value of partnerships, and specifically public-private partnerships that we've shown to be of such value in the Gulf, and doing the research and really in the response to this Gulf-wide disaster, and bringing the federal agency in with these partners to lead the effort. So I think it's just a great example for that, and something we at NOAA have been seeking to advance in a really significant way. Now, also, I want to point your attention to another important aspect, and I'm going to take your call, Missy, about being relaxed, because multitasking right now with all these screens and whatnot in my notes is a chore, but I'm managing. And at any rate, another part about GOMRI that I think is really important is providing funding to universities around the country, not just on the Gulf Coast, to conduct the important research and make such cutting edge science discoveries. And then the last thing I wanted to emphasize was the way that we're integrating with some of NOAA's important programs like the Gulf State Sea Grant programs and their extension specialists. I think that's just a wonderful example of making more of an impact because of the outreach that's conducted and in highlighting the important work to coastal communities and advancing their local economies. Now, I want to just close by saying I'm really proud of my NOAA team. I just have to take this time to say I really am impressed by what they've done. For example, I mentioned Sea Grant and all that they've done. We also have our contributions to the Go Moses Conference, and we played in that in a significant way. Our Office of Response and Restoration has had a leading role in this. And I could name everybody by name under the great leadership of Scott Lundgren. I'll highlight one in particular because I know she was featured in the dispatches from the Gulf, and that's Dr. Lisa DePinto, who is just a fantastic person, an amazing researcher. And I love her because, in one of her early biographies, she wrote that she preferred to be in the field, and for her, the muddier, the better. And I love that because that's just the spirit of so many of our people who've been involved. They want to get in there and they want to make a difference, no matter how dull, dirty, or dangerous it might be. Now, that's the Office of Response and Restoration. And I also want to applaud, we have the National Center for Environmental Information, and they're housing all the GOMRI-funded research data so that it can be accessible for long-term studies and by so many. And that's important. We can do all this research, but if we don't archive the data smartly, and then it's not discoverable and it can't be used and is ready for other applications, then what good is this research, right? So I want to applaud them under the leadership of Mary Wogelmuth. And then lastly, what I think is also really important to highlight is the advances that emerging science and technology are offering us. So I've seen our team in OR&R and others that are contributing to this apply technologies like autonomous systems, like artificial intelligence, like environmental DNA and omics, and that's just exciting because those are transformative technologies that are allowing us with partners to improve our performance and efficiency by orders of magnitude. So there's a lot of opportunity here, and a lot of NOAA is looking at GOMRI as an example of how to advance research with an impact and in cutting edge ways. So I want to close actually by going off script because I noticed that Rita Caldwell was right behind me here in the agenda. And so I might steal your thunder here, Missy, but I want to point out some facts about Dr. Caldwell. I saw her receive a Women's Aquatics Network award. I think she was announced to be a member of the Hall of Fame in DC right before I think we went into the pandemic shutdown. And I was very inspired by her words and her example. And I mean, just think about what this microbiologist who's inspired our NOAA omics strategy to a large extent. 61 honorary degrees, 800 publications, 19 books. I mean, those are some metrics I will never come close to by a fraction. And what I want to point your attention out to is even during this pandemic, Rita has put out probably one of her maybe most impactful works, a book called A Lab of One's Own, One Woman's Journey Through Sexism in Science. And I'll tell you what, that means something to me because I've been championing NOAA's efforts to eliminate sexual assault and harassment. And we have a policy in place to do that. We have an action plan to promote diversity and inclusion that we recently signed out. And I'm a vocal champion because my wife, Karen, experienced harassment during her tour in the Navy. And I have 3 daughters. And so I would want them to have every opportunity that everybody else has without that unfair treatment. And so, Rita, I applaud you for what you've done. Here you are still just putting out such great work and still making such a positive difference and being a role model for our women scientists and doing important work like here. So thank you. Thank you for giving me a chance to be here. And I hope the rest of this workshop is as fun as it's been for me now. Take care.
Thank you so much, Admiral. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you have a very busy schedule. And so thank you for joining us. And thank you for setting me up and for introducing Rita a little bit right there. I have to say, as a woman in science, that she is also one of my personal heroes. And if you haven't seen or read that book yet, I recommend you do so.